Hi everyone, it's Marianne. I've decided to try something new today and I'm going to go live on YouTube with these tags I created using mostly 49th and Market product, 49 and Market. I have so much of the Spectrum Sherbet collection and I just kind of wanted to start using more of it. I have a lot of the rub-ons, etc. And I've been watching a lot of Jamie Pate videos and Katie Petit, I hope I'm saying that right, her shorts and her videos, and I just got really inspired to just make some tags using my things. And I posted it to a Facebook group and someone said I would like, oh, would you make a tutorial? Do you have a tutorial? And I was like, oh, maybe I would do that. So here we are. These are, I've created a lot of these tags just because I felt like creating. And it's still January, so I used 2025 on my tags. Just some rub-ons, some ink, some distress spritz, some distress mica stain, some oxides. I used, that's really the base of the background, and I'm going to make one here, live, today. So just to show you what I used. So my tag size is 3 by 5.5. And what I did use was paper that can handle water. So I used some mixed media paper from scrapbook.com. If you have the Vicky Bouton paper, hers is really good weight. That takes paper too. And also Tim Holtz watercolor paper, that also works. Those are the three that I've mainly used. So I've been using this one lately. I really like it. And that one is 8.5 by 11 size. So out of one sheet of paper, I can get, I think it's 6 pieces. So I've already cut it. It's 3 by 5.5. So I cut a whole 8.5 sheet at one time, and I get 6 pieces that look like this. I like to have a few because once I put some ink on my mat, I like to use the ink up. I try not to wipe away too much. I don't know why I think that's so wasteful. It's a whole ink pad, so. But I think I have 6 altogether. And then I just took an old tag and just cut off the edges. I just kind of like marked it with a pencil and punched a hole. So the tag is ready. That doesn't have to be before you do anything. It could be after. It doesn't really matter when you do that. So I did that for one. And then I used some dies. So the dies I use, I just put them on a piece of paper so you could see them. This is like a big frond die. It was from Scrapbooking Cards Today. They did a Christmas class over the summer, maybe 2 summers ago. I just used that. I used another smaller die from a Tim Holtz Christmas set, and then I have a Tim Holtz Sidekick, and it came with numbers. So I used the 205 from that, and then I double it up. And all the paper I've used is also 49 in Market. Just because I have so much, I just decided to die cut into it, and then it will match pretty much the tag that I've been using. So I used 1 large, 2 small, and then I've been doubling up the 2025 to make it a little bit thicker so that I don't use any foam. But you could use foam dots too behind your numbers. They're just so skinny that I just double them up and glue them together. So that's the tag size. Those are the dies that I've been using. And then I went through and I picked out of my 49 and Market some rub-ons. So today I'm going to use pink and like maybe a orangey color. So I just went through and picked some pink butterflies and some flowers. Same with orange. So this is what I have left of that one set of pink and orange. And this is the botanical rub-on set. And then I have the sherbet, the leaves rub-ons. So you could also pick something out of that. And that's the way I've kind of been making the tags. I'm kind of just looking through these and seeing which of these leaves inspires me. And then I go in search of a oxide color that matches. So that's kind of how I've been starting it. You could do a flower or a leaf or both. On this yellow one, I used a rub-on in the background. I wasn't crazy about the way that looked, so then I went looking through some of the paper, and so I just fussy cut a flower out of there and glued it on. But in the end, I mean, there's a lot going on with this tag. On this particular tag, you can't really see what I did. And this tag was my first, so I used a 49 and Market, one of these out of this package. It's a laser cut. I don't have those for a lot of the collections, but I do have it for this one, the Moonlit Garden, which is a lot of blues and yellows. So I did find something out of there that I liked. I don't use that for every tag. I just kind of go through, see what I would like to put on there. I try to put like a little piece of ephemera on there, and then maybe like a little saying. And the sayings, and there's stamping too. So some of the stamping I've been using this set from Sizzix and 49 and Market. There's some music notes, there's some script. I'm really liking this, so I've been using just some little stamps. This flower is from Vicky Boutin. I use some script and then a number from this set, I think. So I've kind of just been using some little stamping because that goes in the background, and it kind of adds to the collage look and feel of the tag. So any little stamp set will work. You know, if you just go through anything that you own, you can use, this is the flower that I've been using. You can use any of these. And for this stamping, I do use the Distress Archival because it can handle wet. So it stands up to water. So I have a whole bunch of these little cubes and different colors. So I have been using those on my tags. And I've also just gone through, I have a lot of Vicky Boutin stuff, and I found some little sayings and stuff that I like to just put on the tag, and they seem to be the right color. So it doesn't have to match completely, in my opinion. I'm just kind of letting myself be free to create. So that's what I've been doing. And so I'm just going to make one. So I cut most of the, die cut most of the pieces ahead of time for this, so that, because that really is time consuming. So I did that first. So I have the tag, and I'm just going to, this mat is what I create on. It's, I think, very old, from Tim Holtz. So I don't have the glass mat. I don't have the newer one, but this one works fine. So for pink, I pulled Festive Berry and Worn Lipstick. And for the orange, I have Dried Marigold. I don't know if this color is going to work, but I thought I would try it. I haven't used that one lately. So to start, I'm just going to take the Worn Lipstick. I'm just going to put some on my mat, just like that. And then I have a sprayer. I'm just going to get it wet. And this is how I do it. You could take a piece of packaging if you wanted and do the packaging technique. And I just take my tag and just start sticking it in the ink like that. And I don't really worry about it too much. I know a lot of people dab a lot of the ink off. I just like to leave the ink on there. There's always a little something on my mat that looks like a little piece of fuzz or something on there. I do have a dog, so sometimes it is a dog hair. It's not today, so that's good news. Just a little fuzz. And then it's also helpful to have a heat embossing tool, not heat embossing, but a heat tool, which dries the ink. Because if you're going to add another color, you don't want it to be on there when it's wet, because sometimes when the two colors interact, they'll make a mud color. So you don't want to do that. You want to try to dry the layers in between. So this might get a tiny bit noisy because I'm going to dry it, and you want to not burn your fingers while you're doing it. So I do take the time to dry it a little bit in between. Though if I use the Festive Berry on top of this, it'll probably be very similar. I don't think it would make a mud color. And it's all personal preference, how you want, you know, the drips to look, if you want it to be more, if you want it to be less. I kind of just let it be. I don't I try not to overthink it. Let's put it that way. Because then you're not really, you're kind of fixing the outcome, I want to say. This is much more freeing to kind of just let it be what it's going to be. So it's pretty dry. You don't want to leave it down and try to dry it that way because this mat will get warped, and you want to circulate the air as well. So there's just 2 little pieces that aren't as dry. I'm just going to mop up a little bit. I know I say I don't do that, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave that. And then I do like that color, actually. I'm just going to take a look at to see the colors that I pulled before. Let's see where I put those. And see how they're going to look on top of there. Maybe over here. So this is the pink that I had. And so you want a little bit of contrast. So I'm just going to see how that looks to see if I like it. I do like it. And sometimes if you put it right on top of there, the rub-on, maybe it will blend in too much. But sometimes there's only one way to find out. So I'm going to see, and then I'm going to just look at the leaves. Maybe I want to put a leaf instead of a flower. I'm kind of feeling like flower today. Yeah, I think I'm going to try a flower. And you could certainly put both. You could do whatever. And I am going to mop this up. All the things I said I wasn't going to do, I'm going to do. But it's not typical. I might just, you know, have another tag at the ready and just stick the tag in there when I'm just creating. So the way I do my rub-ons is I cut around it and then stick it to my paper because I don't want any little pieces sticking where I don't want it, or I just want to use what I want to use on my project. So I think I'm going to use this big flower. So I'm just going to cut around it to use it. And I was watching, like I said, a Jamie Pate video. And, you know, she said if you have rub-ons, you really should use them. Don't hoard them. And that spoke to me because I love these rub-ons so much. I have definitely been keeping them for good. They're going to be something so special I'm going to make. So that's ridiculous. So I'm not going to just keep saving them anymore. I'm just going to use them. So I think I'm going to like this flower over here. And it doesn't have to be exact. It could go off the edges. You can trim it down. So I think I do tend to want the flower to go on the left side. I've pretty much been following like a little bit of a formula for every one. I'm not reinventing the wheel every time. And I'm not 100% sure what the right order is for doing this, but the way I've been doing it is the background, a rub-on, some stamping, and then the rest on top. So if afterwards I want to add another rub-on, I can do that, but generally I feel like the stamping should go on top of the rub-on. And for the most part, if you're using the archival, either it will wipe right off or you could heat set it maybe. I think I've been just wiping it off. So let me just see where I want to put this. I think I like it there. That will be fine. And I do love rub-ons, I have to say. I've been scrapbooking and card making a very long time. And the first time the rub-ons came along, when making memories was all the rage, I was very obsessed with the rub-ons. And maybe I still am. And you know, I still have some of those making memory rub-ons, alphabets. Sorry if this is shaking a little bit. I had a lot, so I have to say I used a lot, and that I do still have some. Is that considered hoarding? Maybe. And if I use them today, those alphabets, they would still work. Those were premium rub-ons. You know, some rub-ons you save and they don't still work. They barely worked then. Not that I'm calling out Chatterbox, but that one comes to mind. So let me just see. I usually just take a little bit of my tweezers or scissors or something and just make sure it's going to lift. And because there is distress ink in the background, sometimes the rub-on wants to stay on the contact paper because, you know, maybe it's still a little wet from when I did the ink and didn't dry it enough. And if you were doing this in stages, your tag would probably be very, very dry and then not stick. But sometimes it sticks a little bit. That's okay. You just put the contact paper down again and rub it again. And then the rub-on came right off like that. So I'm just going to trim it off the edges with my scissors. And then you want to stick it back down because it's going to stick to your scissors otherwise. So, and around the edges of my tag, I have been using some distress ink. I've been using some distress old paper, just that, and I've just been distressing the edges all the way around my tag. And it doesn't seem to matter when you do that in the process. You can do it when it's all done. You can do it halfway through. For me, it hasn't really mattered. I just do it when I feel like distressing the edges. Just getting the rest of that rub-on off of there. Okay, that looks nice, actually. I like it. Okay, so then I would do some stamping on my tag and maybe, you know, look for a piece of ephemera that I like. I did look through a little bit of some Vicky Bouton die cuts that I had, and I picked some that I thought might work. I don't know if I really like that there, and I have some leftover 49 in Market that I cut apart for another tag. Let me see that one. I think I'm going to like that. It's just a little piece of tag that I used the other half on another tag, so this was like a ticket. So I'll probably just get that on there somehow. I think I'm going to use that one. But first I'm going to do some stamping. So I think I'm going to use maybe some brown and some gray. This is ground espresso, and this one is hickory smoke. So I'm going to use those two. And I have this stamp pad. It was with the Crop and Create event, the card event in the fall. And I really like it. I do have a stamping platform that I do use, but this is just, so you could definitely use that. This is just easy. It's just like a little bit of stamping, and it certainly doesn't have to be perfect because you're going for, or I'm going for, a distressed look anyway. So I just use a stamping block. And I do want some script on there. Just make sure the script is going right. And I'm pretty sure these are all from that stamp set that I showed you, the scripty one. It's this one, Sizzix one, the script I'm going to use, and that number that I'm going to use. Those are definitely from this set. So I'm just going to stick with those. And I've been using brown espresso, the ground espresso. And it's also good to have a piece of scrap paper nearby. So that way, if you're not sure if it's inked up all the way, or if you want to see, kind of preview what it looks like first, or if you want to stamp off some of the ink and have it be just a little bit less, I don't want to say bright, but less of a stamp look. So it's good to just stamp it on a piece of paper so you get a kind of a preview, see what it looks like. But I know I like it. So I'm going to just use this one. And I'm also trying not to overthink it. So I'm going to go up here a little bit and not the whole way across, just a little bit. And there's still some ink on the other end. So I'm also just going to use that on the other side. That's a little crooked, but that's okay. And just going to ink it again. And then I think I'm just going to put it way down on the edge. You see that? Over here. Just a little bit there. And if it's on the rub-on, it's shiny. So I don't know if that's ever going to dry. It might just wipe off, or you might be able to use the heat gun to set it? I'm not really sure. I guess I should know that answer, but I'm not really sure. And then I'm just gonna stamp to get rid of that little bit of ink that's on there. And then I know I like the number, the way the number looks. So I'm gonna put that on my stamp block. And I'm gonna use the gray, and the gray is Hickory Smoke. Looks gray to me, Hickory Smoke. So I'm just gonna stamp that. I'm gonna just preview how it looks. Yep, that's good. It's a little crooked maybe. Just gonna fix that. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, just wanna make sure it's going the right way. And that's the same thing. I don't use the whole number straight across. I'm just gonna go a little bit here. That's fine. And then just the 5 and the 1 over here. And that was pretty light. So maybe I'll just go again right above it. Yeah. And then whatever's left on the stamp, I might just stamp off a little bit there. Yep. So that's really all I do, just a little stamping on the background. And, you know, color is your preference. I do tend to use the archival just because in case I want to wet something on top of it, maybe use more ink or something like that. And then I do think I want a flower. I'm not going to use pink, but not sure. I might use some gray. The Hickory Smoke. I'm going to use a little of the Hickory Smoke, I think. But I'm going to do what's called second generation stamping. So I'm just going to stamp it off, and then I'm just going to put it maybe right there and see what that looks. It's just a very faint impression. And yeah, I like the way that looks. That's fine. So I'm going to use that. Plus, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take this piece of ephemera and put it over here anyway. It could go off the edge like that. And it looks like I had distressed the edges at some point. Let me see where my little distressor is. I just have this old Heidi Swapp one that I use sometimes. I hadn't done this edge, so I might just use that. And I don't know if I want it to go like that. A whole piece. All right, I think I'm going to do it right there. So the glue that I've been using is a liquid glue, but anything that you like to use to make paper go to paper, I think will be fine. I've been using liquid glue lately, and I've been using the Nuvo. And it might be a little stuck in there, so I just have a pen at my workspace. Might be a lot stuck in there, honestly. Not so bad. And then we'll just make sure it's going to come out at some point. And then I'm going to glue it. It might be a little stuck. And get some glue out of there. That's what happens when you're trying to do things live. And what am I doing? Mainly making a mess. Let's see if that worked. Now I'm going to have gluey fingers. And I don't remember. I think I wanted it to go like that. Is that what I said? Yeah, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that. Just going to glue halfway. And I'm going to use my tiny attacher just for a little interest, and it will also keep it on there pretty good. Just like that. And then I'm going to trim off the edge, just so it's even with the tag. It's pretty thick, actually. All right, and then when I ink the edges with that old paper, it's all going to just kind of come together. So that will work. So we've got that. And I just kind of like am molding the paper because it was wet. And when I heat it, it kind of wanted to pull up a little bit. So I might want to put a little stamping up here, but honestly, you know what I usually do? I put a butterfly up there. That's what I usually do. So I do have a wee little pink butterfly that I could put up there. Or that one. Maybe I'll use that little one. I forgot about that one. And nobody says that you have to do exactly what you've been doing if you're feeling like you wanted to do something else. And I kind of like that little writing or whatever that is. I might just use that up there too. I don't know how that's going to look underneath the butterfly or if the butterfly is going to go over it, but I'm going to try that. So let's see what that looks. I'm going to use my fancy rub-on tool that comes with the rub-ons. And there might be a little piece of green from the flower on that piece. But I'm going to end up with the, for lack of a better term, frond, like the leaf over there anyway, so you won't really see what's under here. Just going to see what that looks like. It doesn't have to be the whole thing perfect. Yeah, see that little bit of the flowers on there, but I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to put the butterfly. And if I put the butterfly up there, it might get covered up by the leaf. I'm okay with that. Just doing some layers. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm just going to get it on there the best I can. And for me, it's really just right now, at this time in my life, about just creating something with my stuff. You know, I don't feel like making a scrapbook page. I scrapbooked pretty much very consistently for, I don't know, 26 years. And now I'm taking a little break, making maybe more cards or just tags or something like that. I have stuff to document, but honestly, just taking a little break. This just feels good. Oh, see, that little bit of ink came up there. I'm going to see if I could make it go back down. Let's see. Yep, see, it restuck right to the paper. And then that's it. I'm pretty happy with that so far. I like the way that looks. And then what is next? Next is I have all my die cut pieces. Oh, I'm going to need my glue for that. So I'm going to I die cut all my pieces, and I did use some 49 and Market paper, some Spectrum Sherbet. Like I said, I have so much of this. I just loved it so much. Usually some kind of solid-ish on the back and a beautiful print on the front. That's what the pink one has. A lot of the other ones have, the whole back is collaged with colors that are similar in the similar scheme of things. So I cut one large leaf frond and two small ones. I'm just going to layer up. And then I did 20, 25 two times. So I wasn't 100% sure what this ink color was going to look like. And I have been making the tag and then finding the paper and then die cutting kind of to match contrast kind of thing. So I have two of each number that I'm going to layer on top of each other just so it's a little bit taller. So I die cut these previously. Let me see what they're going to look like. Can you see that? And honestly, I mean, it's not really standing out that much. Let's see, this two is better. Kind of fades into it a little bit unless I do it maybe over the flower. Let's see what that looks like. This 0 is backwards. It's a little darker on this one. But again, maybe I shouldn't be overthinking it. Let's see. 2025. That is still the year. I think that's okay. And then these ones will go underneath. And then I have this large one, which what I've been doing is cutting it a little bit here or so, and then gluing it so it's kind of like that, and then kind of like that, and then these two pieces kind of like that. Though my middle tags, I've been gluing it right at the hole, but I think what they should be doing is coming down from the top. The last tag I made, I did like that, and I liked it better. So I think I would do something like that. And then I do want some saying over there. So let me see, I think I was looking through my Vicky Boutin things, and Vicky Boutin did make some stickers that are vellum stickers. That I liked. They were like vellum washi stickers, and they were pretty much clear, and I hadn't used them on scrapbook pages or anything, and I just really liked the way they looked on the tags, so it was nice to use what I had. Let me just look through here. So this is one of the ones I have, the Storyteller one. I feel like this one might have been good too. This one's pretty bright. No, I don't want that one. See, I used a lot off of this sheet already. And these I used too as well. I mean, these are, when I look at the back and look at the year, it says 2006. So they are 7 Gypsies. 7 Gypsies aren't around anymore. And there are label stickers in here, but then there was a page that had like reinforcement stickers. And since I've started making these tags, I've actually been using them. I mean, I think it's time. You know, if you figure to do fast math in my head, 18 years, I guess it's time to use them. So it's a miracle that I even knew where they were. But they're in my stuff. So you know what? I'm going to stick a pink one on right now, I think. And I'm not so worried that if it's not the exact shade of pink. I'm just happy to use them up at this point. So it's just a reinforcement. It's nothing like even special. So I would just put that around the hole. And the hole I just made with my crocodile. That's all, nothing special. So see, I like the way that looks. I'm not really gonna overthink what color the reinforcement is. And I'm just gonna get a little saying on there. Let's see if something's pink. I like the one that says pure happiness. Is that what we want for 2025? I don't know if that feels right. I mean, of course, doing things that scare me. I just want something maybe pink. But it could be a little saying from anywhere, you know, anything you have, even a stamp. I do have one stamp that I pulled that says beautiful things. So I have been using that in the backgrounds as well. Let me see, I pulled a few things that I tucked in here the other day. Let's see what these look like. Let's see if they're the right colors. This one says, bring your own sunshine with some gold on it, or make today count. So I might use the make today count and just cut around it so that beige isn't in it. I think we're going to try that. And then I'm just going to glue it on there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So it's the look of washi tape. I'm not going to fussy cut it crazily. Just going to make it good enough that it's definitely not straight, just so we're clear about that. And let's see how I lock it. I don't know, now I'm going to start overthinking it. But I think in the end it will probably be okay. And what I could do is perhaps take a little of one lipstick. And I was talking about dog hair before, wasn't I? Because there's definitely a piece on this ink pad. Let's just see if I put a little bit of this on here. And my fingernail. Thank you. Yeah, that'll be fine. Yep, that'll be fine. That will be okay. And I'm just going to take a little piece of paper towel because I don't know where the rest of my little things are, like my little pouncer things. That's fine. I also took this Distress Spritz and saltwater taffy because I think I'm going to make one in that orange color too. And the antique linen color, which is gold and beautiful. And I've been using this Distress Mica. It's called Frozen Fog. It's like silver-ish, but it's also like, I don't want to say lavender, but it's got a tiny bit of lavender-ish look to it. But when it dries, it's just like a pretty little silver color. Okay, so I like the way that looks. I'm going to glue the Make Today Count on there, if I can get my glue out. Yep, that's fine. And then the 2025, I would need to glue the two pieces together to make it a little bit more dimensional and stick out a little bit more. And that's personal preference. You certainly don't have to do that. I just didn't want to cut little pieces of foam tape and not have it, make it small enough not to show. And I do have the 1/8 of an inch. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I bet you that would work, but sometimes I just do what's at hand. So I've been doing it this way, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes when I'm die cutting those big sheets of the 49 in Market, I have to remind myself that I do have, probably had 4 sheets of each. Some of it will be in my scrapbook because I've definitely used some of it for sure. But I still have, you know, full sheets if I ever want to use it for something else. It's okay to use it to die cut it. And it's weird how you get into that mindset. You don't want to use your stuff because then you used it up. But I have faith that there's plenty 49 in Market still out there of newer stuff that I don't have yet. And also, Vicki Boutin will be designing for them. Do I want to use that one? Or that one? This one. Coming up in the spring, in April, she'll be the new designer, or she'll have a release anyway. So I'm looking forward to that because I have a lot of Vicki Boutin too. So 2 favorite companies together. What could be bad? So I'm sure I will be investing in that, depending on what they come out with. All right, so it's just going to look like that. And sometimes what I do is I take the Frozen Fog. So this tag is feeling like Frozen Fog to me. So instead of spraying it the whole way, I'm just going to put a little bit on my mat. And I shook this while we were talking. So you just want, there's a mixing bowl in there. You just want to make sure that the mica is spread around. It's not all in there. And then you could just kind of wipe your little fronds in it if you want. Sometimes I take a paintbrush and kind of push it around. Sometimes I use my finger. And it will stay on your fingers, so you definitely want to wash them after. And also, I want to just put a little splatter on my card too, which I probably should do at the end because I'm going to ink the edges. So I'll do that at the end. So I'm just going to glue my 2025 on here. And then in the hole of the tag, you could put I have some jute, just some twine I've been using. I don't have access to all my ribbon from back in the day right now. It's packed away because I'm getting ready to sell my house, so it's packed away, but I'm sure that if I did, I would have a pink ribbon I would use and put in the hole there. That would be just the right color. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to use a little twine. And I know the question is, well, then what do you do with these tags? And you can just enjoy their beauty. Just be happy with the creation that you made. Or my daughters saw them. They're in their 20s, and they each said, oh, I would take one of those. So I just wrote a little message on the back and sent them to them. And I might mail a few to a friend, to a few friends. They're crafty friends. Just a little message on the back. I don't think I'm going to put them on a card, but you certainly could put them on a card front. But then that's a whole nother creation. I don't know if I would just stick it on a white card front. Knowing me, I probably wouldn't, which is when I would say, oh yeah, I'll make that card front someday, and then never get to it. So they would just sit here. But you know, it is 2025. It's January. I've got some time to mail them out. So, yep, I'm happy with the way that looks. And like I said, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. You know, I pretty much just stuck to the same formula. And, you know, once I knew kind of what I wanted to use, then it was easier to go look through some of my things and say, oh, I'm going to pull that out just to have at the ready so that when I'm creating, you know, maybe I'll use that. Maybe that will go on a tag. And honestly, I just looked through the 49 and Market paper and the rub-ons, and then I just kind of let that be my jumping off point of what color I wanted to use next. And I don't want to say I have all the Distress Oxides, but I'm pretty sure I have all the Distress Oxides. And if you didn't have those, or you had other inks, or the watercolor pencils, I believe are more Distress than Distress Oxides. For some reason, I enjoy the washed out look of the oxides. A lot of people prefer the regular Distress because they're more vibrant color. It could have been a little bit better over there. That'll be okay. And then I'll put a little something through there, maybe just a bow of some sort. Let's see. Not my strong suit. I will say that. But before I do that, actually, I'm going to ink my edges with old paper. So again, oxide. And I do own the Distress watercolor pencils, Distress pencils, which are, like I said, more Distress than oxide. And I did just have this first 3 sets, and I will confess that I did buy the rest of the other 3 that I was missing. Maybe I only bought 2 of the 3. Okay, I only bought 2 of the 3. That sounds better, right? So there's 1 set I don't have, which is okay. But I don't have to own all the regular Distress ink pads if I have all the watercolor pencils, because there's so much pigment in them. And honestly, for the methods I use anyway, the pencils are fine. You know, I tend to take a wet paintbrush and just take it off the watercolor pencil and use it just like ink, just the way I did right on my pad. And I did that, I think, for 1 or 2 of my tags. I don't know which ones right now, but I definitely used that technique on my tag, 1 or 2 tags. But I do prefer the look of the oxides better. But that's just me. And for this project anyway, because I want it to kind of be, I don't want to say dreamy, but a little dreamy, a little vintagey. Okay. So I like the way that looks. I'm happy with this pink creation. And the back is not neat. I don't worry about what's going to happen on the back. And I would cut a little piece of twine and put that in the top over here. And this part I do struggle with, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and I want to put a little, whatchamacallit, some mica. Let's put some mica droplets. Just want to make sure it's mixed up well. And then I'm not going to spray it. Certainly could. But I'm just going to put a few droplets here and there. I've got a big droplet, but that's okay. And if you're doing it on the rub-ons, it's probably never going to dry. So you could just allow it to soak into the paper, see what it looks like in the end, and then probably wipe it off the rub-on, because it's probably, it will look dry, but if you touch it, it's just going to come off on your fingers anyway. But I do like the way that looks. I don't know if you could see the little silver right there. Yeah. So it's just a really pretty color. And I think I'm going to say it must have been Halloween Frozen Fog. Do I have all the Distress Mica stains? I might. I might. So that's really the finished product, and that's how I created it. And I do have some pieces cut for this one, and I think I'm going to make that today as well. Just not on the live because I think you guys have sat through enough. But thank you so much for watching if you tuned in, and it's going to be recorded for the future. So thanks so much, and have a great day.